Right then, welcome back to the channel. As I said, I'm going to do the player ratings as we've been doing all this season, and we'll get into it. We'll even cover the manager in this one as well. But as I'm doing these, have a think of your own, and let me know if you agree, disagree, and all that good stuff at the end. So let's start in net. Onana, possibly United's best player. He made 4 crucial saves, including a couple probable world-class stops against Liam Delap. That reflex save in the 40th minute where he spread himself out, Peter Schmeichel style, prevented them from, it prevented them from taking the lead and probably would have struggled to get back in there. 36 out of 46 passes. It's getting a little bit better, including 10 long ball attempts. I think he's trying to showcase the ability to start attacks from the back. Distribution under pressure did lead to a couple of turnovers in dangerous areas. There's obviously room for improvement. I still think we're working out the detail on the patterns for playing out. I didn't think we looked as good playing out, but that could also be a little bit on the opposition as well, because Ipswich are fantastic when it comes to pressing teams that are playing out. Let's go to the defence. Mazraoui was involved in 104 passes out of 114 attempted. He had 127 touches of the ball, which was the most of anybody in the game. That's shown how much we were holding possession in that back line and how we struggled to get it into midfield. Defensively, though, I thought he struggled to cope. Burns and Hutchinson were causing him trouble, to be honest with you. He got dribbled past twice. He got caught out of possession for a couple of the counters. Out of position, sorry, for a couple of the counters. That can be teething problems with the new system and where he's required to be. He did have 11 duels won, which, you know, he's massive for the duels won. Has been all season. 6 tackles showed that he was getting heavily involved. But a bit of a deflection on the Hutchinson goal sort of epitomised what was a frustrating game from him. And I'm going to give a 6.5 out of 10, I think. De Ligt. I'm going 6.5 for De Ligt as well. So he had 99% pass completion, 80 out of 81. Shown how composed he was on the ball. Defensively, though, less convincing, but also less involved. He only was involved in 5 duels, winning 3 of them. Struggled a little bit aerially, I thought, against the lap. Was maybe a little bit too reactive when it came to closing down the forwards. Positioning in the back 3 appeared a little bit off. That, I think, is going to be one of the key sort of learning curves for the entire back line. Just knowing by instinct where to be at the right sort of time. Didn't dominate us physically as he has done. And he's been so good at all season. But it was an all-right performance from him. Johnny Evans, been brilliant this season. Really noticed how high up he was getting engaged in stuff. And I'm giving him a 5 out of 10. Only 3 out of 6 of his duels, 3 interceptions, 6 clearances. He did contribute defensively, but the lack of pace was a glaring weakness. And it looked, I don't know if it looked like they targeted him or if he was just up against Hutchinson, who was just a bad physical matchup for him. Got substituted in the 56th minute as we brought in Luke Shaw, probably for a little bit more mobility. I think his experience can be absolutely invaluable, but it wasn't at the races, I don't think, in the slightest today. So 5 out of 10 for Johnny in that game. Diallo. I'm giving Diallo a 7. Deployed as a right wing back, demonstrated both attacking instinct with a brilliant assist for Rashford's goal 81 seconds into the game. 5 successful dribbles out of 7 attempts, 3 accurate crosses out of 4. Defensively, contribution was okay, to be honest. He was involved in quite a lot of duels, winning a fair whack of them, as he generally does. But I think he played within himself. His pass completion was really strong, as it often is. But I think he still played a little bit safe. I'd like to see him taking a little bit more risk. And I know one of his best assets is the decision-making, which is near flawless from him. But I would like to see him just playing just with that little bit of risk, because I think they could be a real productive player if he played with a little bit more risk. Christian Eriksen. The most un-Eriksen performance that we've seen in about a year, actually. So 80% pass completion, 33 out of 41. Really failed to get on the ball, really failed to dictate tempo, did not get involved in the slightest defensively, just 1 tackle. Left Casemiro a little bit isolated, dragged his performance down. And you think, okay, Christian Eriksen didn't get on the ball, didn't get involved defensively, but he created chances though, didn't he? No. Like, he's been really, really strong in that department all season. 1 pass completion has been 90s. I think it's been every single game it's been in the 90s. And his his key passes has been like 3, 4, 5, 6 per game. No key passes, 80% pass completion, completely anonymous defensively. He basically just got ran through. It was a poor showing. He was bypassed in the transitions. 4.5 out of 10. Casemiro. He's had a bit of an up and down season, man. And this is a 4 out of 10. 16 passes completed for a central midfield player playing for Manchester United is abysmal. That's why he gets a 4. And it was only a 70% pass completion as well. He just struggled to handle Ipswich's pressing. Defensively, his positioning was exposed a few times. Admittedly, was not helped by Christian Eriksen being alongside him. Failed to block Hutchinson's equaliser. Ipswich continually bypassed him in midfield, leaving us vulnerable on the counter. It was a poor showing from him, and that's why he gets a 4. And the difference is, as soon as you see the stats from Ugarte and how more assured United looked once Ugarte came on, I think Ugarte has just put his name down for starting every single game for the rest of the season. But yeah, it was poor from Casemiro, which is a shame because I actually think him and Ugarte might be great together. I just think him and Christian Eriksen in this system just does not work. Diallo. So played as a left wing back. He was visibly uncomfortable. He did attempt 6 crosses, which is nice to see someone actually attempting some crosses because there was just so little action of balls coming into the box. But they didn't really threaten the Ipswich defence. 6 crosses in total, 3 of them were accurate. Defensively, he got 5 out of 5 of his duels and there was 1 interception, but positionally, he just wasn't really in the right kind of place. Didn't look like he knew where he was going to be. And again, that can take time, so he's got a little bit of sympathy on that front. Versatility is valuable. His dedication is valuable, but the performance highlighted limitations with him as a first choice left back. On the right, it might be different, but I thought 5 out of 10 performance from Diallo last night, at least anyway. And then the forwards, Bruno. So a really interesting performance, I think I would say 6.5 out of 10 for Bruno. 47 out of 51 passes, 92%. Okay, that's not bad, right? Usually when he does that, he has no key passes though. He didn't create anything. What did he create today? 3 key passes. So that is the sort of thing that I would be pretty happy with if I'm analysing Bruno alone. Didn't lose the ball. Didn't go all Hollywood. Still created 3 chances. Okay, nice. Was forced to drop deep a lot of times because of the midfield just not being able to get on the ball. That reduced his impact in the final third. He did lead by example with his work rate. He was involved in 10 duels. He won 5 of them. It's pretty normal for Bruno. He lacked the cutting edge to unlock the Ipswich defence himself, and he didn't really manage to inspire anybody else around him for that as well. So that's why it's only a 6.5 for Bruno. The intent was there, but the execution wasn't quite right with him. Garnacho. Again, so many times he finds himself in incredible positions. I think that's what gives people the idea that he can really do something. But his decision-making lets him down time and time again. He only completed 1 out of 3 dribbles. He delivered no accurate crosses. He missed a crucial chance to win the game quite late on. Ipswich defenders found it fairly easy to neutralise the threat from him. Yes, energy, yes, decisiveness, yes, directness are all assets, but the lack of end product and his ability to just make the wrong decision at times when a better decision might lead to a goal is incredibly frustrating. And that's why he gets a 5 out of 10. And that's why I still think there's better options than him to be starting games. In the forward line, I would like to see Bruno and Ahmad. And maybe once we get the likes of Martinez and Euro back, maybe Mazraoui moves into that wing-back sort of role. But, maybe it's just we've got to put up with it at the moment. I think as an impact player, I think that he comes on and adds energy, and I think that's fine. But I think starting, the decision-making is just not there for him. And another disappointing performance, Marcus Rashford. Does he get credit for the goal? Yeah, he does get credit for the goal. It was good movement, actually. Poor defending, but good movement at the same time. It's a 5 out of 10 performance still, though, because his goal was clinical. Didn't really know a lot about it, to be honest, but he only had 13 touches in the game, and he only completed 8 out of 10 passes. He was completely isolated. Now, how much of that is systematic? How much of that is on himself? How much of that was Bruno had to drop out of the space he was expected to be to try and compensate for the midfield that couldn't get onto the ball at all? he needs better service, but he's also got to do more to impose himself on games when he's starved of opportunities. And the same goes for Højlund as well, when he gets into those opportunities, because when he came on, it didn't change. So, well done on the goal. You've got to do so much more. If you want to be playing for this gaffer, you've got to do so much more, and especially do so much more when we haven't got the ball. You know, that desire to win the ball back, you need to be watching videos of Ugarte and figuring out how you can add that to your game if you want to play. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for Marcus as well. And then the subs, Ugarte I'm going to give a 6.5 because he added stability, he added energy, and he actually added a little bit of control. So Ugarte, not known for his passing ability, when you've got Casemiro and Eriksen on the pitch, or were on the pitch, can't get on the ball, can't complete passes. Ugarte comes in with half an hour or so to go, completes 25 out of 27 passes, wins 3 duels, shows everyone how this game is meant to be played in midfield, and almost gives us a bit of an idea of, oh, yeah, right, that's how it's meant to look. Because it didn't look like that for the first hour while he weren't on the pitch. So, real good showing from him, 6.5 out of 10. Can't really give him more than that. I felt like giving him a 7. It's probably being a little bit giddy, isn't it? But 6.5 for sure. A strong 6.5. At the same time, Luke Shaw came on for Johnny Evans, who struggled. And Luke Shaw was, again, another composed performance from him in terms of the possession that he carried. So he gets a 6.5 as well. 52 out of 59 passes, 88% pass completion. Helped support attacks down that left-hand side, but his impact was limited by the broader sort of struggles of the team for that last half hour where we just couldn't really create anything. Højlund came on a little bit later, about 10 minutes later. He just had 8 touches, didn't get a shot off, didn't get a key pass off. It's 5 out of 10 performance. Just the lack of involvement from him reflected both the way Ipswich was organised and the way United's forwards just didn't impose themselves on the game, you know, which may be related to how the midfield did or didn't impose itself on the game. Xerxes came on for Eriksen. Same time, 20 minutes or so to go. He got 1 key pass, but again, struggled to influence the game. His positional awareness needs improvement. I'm not sure where he plays. If it's going to be in the 10, he's got to be better. He's just going to have to be better. It's as simple as that. He's going to have to get involved more. And that shot, I don't know if you start the analysis with that shot, give everyone a laugh. Not good enough. Mount, 5 out of 10. He had 2 minutes on the pitch. He did get 6 passes completed, which is nuts when he was on the pitch for mere seconds and he completed nearly as many passes as Marcus Rashford did. That's terrifying, isn't it? But yeah, 5 out of 10. And for the gaffer, I think it's a 5 out of 10. I think his Premier League debut is shown some of the stuff that we was hoping to see from him, and the team started bright, obviously. I think the decision to go a little bit deeper defensively probably had more to do with the opposition than what he would have wanted, maybe. Substitutions-wise, we had a fairly strong bench. He did use it. Didn't change anything to it, though. And I think he'll be worried about Ipswich dominating the XG the way they did. Ipswich deserved to win that game, and they didn't win that game. And the only reason they didn't win that game was Onana. That's not good. So he's going to want to completely reverse that. Hopefully it's a bit of a rude awakening for him as a welcome to the Premier League, that there are no easy games. Certainly for Manchester United at the moment, we're not good enough to have easy games in the Premier League. But some stuff for him to go work on, some stuff for him to ponder over, and some stuff for him to look at and reflect at. And some big decisions, which players are going to fit that system and which players aren't going to fit that system. And I think as soon as we get the likes of Yoro, maybe even Luke Shaw can starting regular games, I think there'll be some changes in that starting 11. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know who you thought did well, who you thought doesn't need to be playing anymore, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.